Have you ever wondered how ancient cities built mostly of wood, packed tightly together, with open flames used for cooking and heating managed the ever-present threat of fire? The history of firefighting in ancient civilizations is not just a tale of hoses and helmets, but a gripping journey through time, showing how early societies battled the flames long before modern equipment and fire trucks ever existed. From the grand avenues of ancient Rome to the clay brick homes of Mesopotamia, from the bamboo watchtowers of ancient China to the ceremonial fire brigades of Egypt, firefighting in early urban centers was a matter of survival strategy and civic organization. In this episode of the Historical Vault, we delve deep into how our ancestors fought one of nature's most destructive forces, fire, using human chains, leather buckets, sand, vinegar-soaked blankets, and sheer bravery. We start with ancient Egypt, around 2500 BCE, where large cities like Memphis and Thebes flourished along the Nile. Firefighting was deeply intertwined with religion. Egyptian priests were often the first responders, as temple complexes had both water reservoirs and trained attendants ready to extinguish fires. Fire safety was built into architecture, with clay bricks and mud walls designed to resist spreading flames. Moving eastward to Mesopotamia, the urban centers of Babylon and Ur featured some of the earliest documented city planning, but with that came the fire hazard of narrow alleys and wooden rooftops. Cuneiform tablets show that residents had protocols for fire emergencies, often including designated water carriers and communal watch duties during dry seasons. Some historians suggest that Sumerians even had early versions of fire codes, requiring homeowners to keep water jars at the ready, similar to today's fire extinguishers. But it was ancient Rome that truly pioneered organized firefighting as a public service. In 24 BCE, Emperor Augustus formed the Vigiles Urbani, Rome's first official firefighting force. This force of over 7,000 men patrolled the city by night, not only to stop crime but to fight fires with buckets, hooks, and even rudimentary pumps called siphos. The Vigiles were divided into cohorts and stationed strategically around Rome, and they used watchtowers to spot fires quickly. They carried axes to break into burning buildings and had slaves form bucket chains from nearby aqueducts or wells. What's more, Rome's firefighting system introduced incentives and penalties. Landowners were expected to maintain fireproofing, and those who didn't could be fined or denied rebuilding rights after a fire. This level of fire governance was remarkably advanced for its time. Moving across to ancient Greece, particularly in Athens and later in Alexandria under Hellenistic rule, fire response was largely a communal affair. In these densely packed cities, neighbors worked together to prevent fires from spreading. While no formal firefighting force existed, wealthy patrons sometimes maintained private brigades, especially in Alexandria, where sprawling libraries and merchant districts created constant fire risks. These private teams used tools like soaked cloths, sand buckets, and even chemical mixtures to douse flames. Interestingly, Greek scholars like Hero of Alexandria developed early steam-powered devices, though not used for firefighting. They revealed the potential for technological innovation in pressure systems, which would eventually inspire modern hoses and pumps.
In ancient China, records from the Zhou dynasty around 1000 BCE describe organized firewatch patrols in larger cities with gongs used to alert citizens. By the Han dynasty, large cities like Luoyang and Chang'an had bamboo lookout towers where watchmen scanned for smoke. When fires broke out, organized groups called fire clubs used long poles, buckets, and even water carts pulled by oxen to respond. What's fascinating is that Chinese thinkers also wrote about fire prevention strategies, such as separating kitchens from living areas, placing homes around central water sources, and even codifying fire drills for public markets. Japan, too, during the Heian period 79–1185, saw early efforts to manage urban fires, especially in Kyoto, where wooden palaces and homes were tightly packed. Hakushi, or fire watchers, became common, and towns began to train local men in fire suppression techniques, including tearing down nearby structures to create fire breaks, a tactic later seen in Edo's famous firefighters of the latter during the Tokugawa era. Meanwhile, in Mesoamerica, civilizations like the Maya and Aztec built urban centers with a strong awareness of fire risk. Temples and storage buildings were often constructed from stone, and public plazas had water features that doubled as reservoirs. Priests, again playing a key role, were charged with both maintaining sacred flames and preventing accidental blazes. Though less is known about specific fire brigades in these societies, archaeological evidence suggests strategic use of materials and spatial design to limit fire spread. Returning to Europe during the later Roman Empire and into the Byzantine period, fire remained a huge concern. Constantinople had narrow alleys and wooden homes that posed the same threats as ancient Rome. Fires were common, and emperors like Justinian I enacted building codes to enforce stone construction in certain districts, though the centralized fire brigade of Augustus had declined. Churches and monasteries often took up the responsibility, creating fire posts and training monks to respond to blazes. In the Islamic Golden Age, cities like Baghdad and Cordoba emphasized fire safety in their architecture. Domes, arches, and stone streets helped reduce fire hazards. Islamic texts describe best practices for urban design, including spacing homes and storing flammable goods away from residential areas. Though no state firefighting force existed, marketplaces had guards and water bearers ready to act in case of fire, and architectural innovation again played a major role in fire control. One particularly unique example comes from Viking-era Scandinavia, where towns like Birka had communal wells and alarm systems involving horns to gather resonance. When fire broke out, fire was both a practical threat and a symbolic force in Norse mythology, so controlling it had spiritual as well as civic dimensions. In Africa, the bustling ancient city of Timbuktu in Mali used clay and mud architecture, which was naturally fire-resistant. But even there, markets and caravanserai developed water supply systems and neighborhood-based fire teams. Oral histories passed down in West African griot traditions refer to coordinated community efforts to combat fires using soap blankets and sand trenches. As we can see, firefighting in the ancient world was not an afterthought. It was a sophisticated response to one of the most dangerous elements that could destroy homes, records, temples, and lives. Whether through organized firefighting corps like the Vigiles of Rome, community systems in China, or temple-based responses in Egypt and Mesoamerica, ancient civilizations laid the groundwork for modern firefighting. They understood the need for quick action, resource access, training, and prevention strategies. Many of the principles they developed, such as the importance of building codes, centralized water sources, trained responders, and early detection, are still in use today. So next time you see a fire hydrant or a fire station, remember that the battle against fire has a deep, courageous history stretching back thousands of years, forged in the heart of the world's earliest cities. If you found this dive into ancient firefighting fascinating, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the Historical Vault, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a journey into forgotten chapters of human history.